Capitalism is an evil system set up to benefit the few at the expense of the many.
Okay, that's filmmaker Michael Moore. We've come to expect nonsense like that from him, but he's not alone. My last guest was big on communism, and when I interviewed people in Times Square about capitalism and poverty, some said things like this.
Capitalism might be the problem that creates so many poor people.
Capitalism creates poor people? I suppose that's true if your definition of poor is having less than absurdly wealthy people, but where capitalism is allowed, it's true there's income inequality. Many people say that's immoral, but Ayn Rand, who grew up under communism, wrote very popular books that said, so what if some people have more than others? That's part of freedom, and it's totally moral. Yaron Brook runs an institute that's based on her philosophy. Yaron, this is just selfish, and the communist who just left would say it's mean.
Well, but that's ridiculous. I mean, the idea, so take the last comment about the poor, right? Before capitalism, 300 years ago, 99% of the population of the earth were poor. Everybody except the kings who stole, they were the real stealers, were basically poor. Today, everybody, including the poor, are much, much richer than anybody was back then. And it's all due to capitalism. It's all due to the freedom, to property rights, the ability of people to go out there and make and produce at whatever level they can and to feed themselves. And one other thing, I think we need to be careful not to conflate what we have today with capitalism. I mean, what we have today is this mixed economy, right? We have
government-run schools.
Government-run schools. We have minimum wages. We have a welfare state that writes you a check
tells
so
you
that you don't work, tells you not to work. So we don't have capitalism today. But when it's tried, and to the extent that it's tried, China today, millions of people rise out of poverty. One of the untold stories, really, of the last 40, 50 years is the fact that 800 million people have come out of poverty in Southeast Asia. 800 million people out of poverty in Southeast Asia because they've implemented a little bit of capitalism. And before they did that, tens of millions of people were starving to death. To sit here and argue for communism, when communism has been directly responsible for the brutal murder of well over 100 million people, if you take...
Well, he would say that those were just bad leaders, but the idea of sharing is good.
No, the idea of sharing is what directly leads to those kind of the gulags and
why? Why should it have to?
Because the fact is we're not all the same. We're not all equal. Just look around any group of people. Some of us work hard and some of us don't. Some of us